Well, it looks like we got a little trip through the woods here, going through the markets with silver, and you know, everybody was expecting silver to go down to 22 once it took that big drop and everything like that, and it's sitting pretty flat right around 30. 30 is supposed to be a pretty hard resistance point. But hey, there's a lot of people in China buying this stuff up, and a lot of people in America buying this stuff up. In long range, it's going to be the investment of the century, just like the propagandists say. I don't even want to call them propagandists because basically they're totally accurate. They just get over emotional and they think it's going to go right through the roof right away and all this type of stuff. I'm going to give you a little bit of long range. I could show a chart here, but it looks like about every 3 years, silver takes, it gets to another point. And then there's a big long-range commodity bull run that could take place. And you also compare that with some of the other predictions, maybe for geopolitical events. But figure silver and gold are probably going to hit a height of around 2014, another height. And maybe it could be early 2015, but I'd say maybe 2014. That's about, 2008, like around May was one height. Then also in 2011, for silver it was around April, and also for gold it was around August or September. And then, so 2008, 2011, 2014. It seems to go in cycles. Now, long range, the commodity bull run might be over around 2018. Or 2017. So you figure 3 years from 2014, another 3-year cycle. I would say 2017 might be the ultimate height. The ultimate height. I'm basing this on, facts. I'm not going to show you the charts. I mean, I'll look at them. But you're not going to get pinpoint accuracy out of long range forecasts. It's like trying to forecast the weather, but it's like you can pretty much tell what's going to happen. So it's going to be a long trip through the woods still. And, we're looking at silver today. It's moving up. Palladium has been holding up very well. And oil's moving up. Now it's up over $94 a barrel. And oil, like in gold, pretty much run together. So it's telling you the dollar is showing a lot of weakening. Now, the dollar index is over 80 right now, and that is mainly because a lot of people are moving out of yen, too. That's helping out the dollar. But in reference to all currencies, the commodities are still going up, and I think food's going to go up a lot, just not even due to, like, inflationary pressures, but due to drought pressures. Now, I don't want people to get tunnel vision on the silver investment, but, what the people have been saying all along about silver being a all-time best investment of the century, maybe I don't know about of the world, but could be of the last 100 years. It could very well be, is probably true. It's just going to take you longer than you think. And what I'm going to state here is you're going to see a lot of hills and mountains coming up. Like, in other words, if we have the war with Iran coming up in this spring, that's a guess again, because I guessed that wrong. I thought it was going to happen last spring, but I don't think they're going to push this off forever. You're going to see an intermediate height in silver, maybe between 65 and 75, around there, like over $60. It's probably going to break an all-time record. And then I don't know what's going to happen after the war. It's going to be over with, because I don't think that's going to lead to World War III right away. I think that might take some time. But you'll see it come back down, and I think the triple digits in silver are probably going to come about around 2014, just like the 3-year cycles come about. Well, we might hit an intermediate high between that time of around $65 to $75. That seems to be the next Fibonacci point. So it's like silver's a crazy animal. Right now, I realize that I feel a lot safer now that a lot of silver bloggers are pretty quiet right now. It's not too exciting. It's pretty flat. But silver never stays flat long. And then all of a sudden it goes ballistic. But this is my warning out there. I don't think it's going to go straight to 100. But when it breaks through 50, and then it's going as close to 60, say it goes up to 72, throwing a number out there. But 65 to 75 seems the next major Fibonacci resistance point where it's going to hit a lot of resistance. Say it goes up to 72. when it's getting up to that mark, everybody in the world for the silver crowd is going to be talking about 90, 100, and I don't think that's going to happen. Now, I'm not Karnak the magician, but I'll be selling off a little bit of physical silver, but I'm not selling off a lot. Now, if it goes up to 100, I'll probably sell off more. But, it's not like I'm going to hold fiat cash forever because I'll be thinking about my next move. And, actually right now, one of the best things you can invest in right now is the guns, ammos, and magazines and all that other stuff around here. A lot of people don't think of that as an investment. It may be the stocks in like Ruger Firearms Company, which has been going up, up, and up. It might be like Apple, for all I know. It might go through the roof, So that might not be a bad deal. So in the long term, even that looks like a very good investment. And I would not ignore even simple investments like that. No broker is going to tell you to do that. Not in a million years. I'll tell you to do that. I think that's probably a smart investment. So people buy silver, physical silver for survival times. And, hey, bullets and, loaded ammunition, actually. Bullets are the thing that come out of it. It's probably a smart thing to do. I'm not going to knock that at all. And, a couple other things like the mountain bike is probably a handy thing to have around too, because we're talking, when people buy physical silver, they're talking about it's going to be time for like a financial collapse and a reset. Well, if there's a financial collapse, you're gonna have to pretty much think like a survivalist, but not to get too crazy about it. But times of emergency, protection of yourself and defense is a one important thing, and something that's very worthwhile to other people that they would buy something from you for, right? Trade it for food or whatever, and mountain bike and that type of stuff. Not only that, but it's also healthy and gives you nice legs and butt and all that type of stuff. Better than the Jane Fonda workout book, that's for sure. And mentioned something about her yesterday. But, in long range, it looks like silver probably, if you go to the 3-year cycles, 2008, 2011, I'm going to say 2014, and the last one's going to be 2017. Now, around 2017, if you start looking at what Joel Scorzin says, now, I like that guy, if you don't actually listen to what he says. But, I realize where his school of thought is actually coming from, Major Anatoly Golitsyn. We might be in a major conflict. And I don't think, World War III is going to be the end of the world, but it's going to be pretty devastating. But that's when you probably will see the dollar really fall apart for real. If there's a major war, and it's a military conflict, not good news at all. But, hey, the way I look at it, if it's coming up, I want to make sure I'm ready for any damn thing, and I guess that's one of the deals, right? Not that I freaking worry about it on a daily basis, but, hey, I'm chill about a lot of shit, that's the way I look at it. It's one emergency, hey, that one's over with, next one coming up, whatever, but no big deal. But, right now we're just living in a peaceful world, so it's not a big deal about anything, so it's a time to prepare. And, but, looking at what is going to be the long range height for silver, I would think it's actually going to be 2017. We're probably going to see the next bubble, peak, whatever, in 2014. It might be in the triple digits, might pull back. But I think the next really height where things are going to go nuts, where it gets into $500 silver, it might be 2017. Now, it's easy for me to make this kind of prediction because it's so far off in the future, and I know that. I know that. I've been critical of people making predictions far off in the future because everybody forgets about them. But, just looking at the objective facts in what the commodity cycles go, 2017 looks about right. Looking at the objective facts, 3-year cycles looks like there's a 3-year wave pattern or something with the silver hitting new heights. 2014 might be one big height, and then 2017 might be the big final height. And I think this year, I said it last year, it was wrong, but it was predicated upon the war with Iran. But if we have the war with Iran, that happens. It ain't going to be the end of the world right there. I mean, it's not going to be World War III or any kind of garbage like that, but it's going to be very bullish for silver, and it's going to take a spike. I'm assuming it's going to take an intermediate spike before it gets to a much higher height of triple digits, and I think the triple digits are going to come about in 2014. But long range, where they, the really crazy prices that some of the people have been predicting, it might be 2017. And actually, if you look carefully at what Jim Rogers says and Mark Faber, they hint at those years. They hint at those years. They don't know this for an absolute fact like they're God. But that's, a lot of people just don't buy investments for like 3 days and shit like that. I mean, 2 months. It's like, it's a few years. It's a few years or more. So, but I think long range, if you're talking like 2017, I don't know what gold would be. Maybe it'd be $5,000 an ounce. You might see palladium at $8,000 an ounce. You kill me now for saying that, but I'm pretty calm about it. I'm pretty confident. I'm not like counting on it, but I think that's probably where some of these metals are going to be. So I'm pretty chill about it. But that's not the only investment out there right now. Actually, short term, if you really want to look for like a physical investment, it's probably going to be the guns. Or if you don't want to buy a gun or go through all that registration garbage, you just want to buy some magazines or bullets or ammunition and stuff like that, you're probably going to have a pretty good profitable trade pretty soon off of that stuff too. That stuff will probably go up over the next year. So, if you don't want to wait too long for a return on a physical investment, probably right now the gun stuff is probably the best stuff to get. And you could buy upper receivers for AR-15s in various calibers and stuff like that. You could do that. You could buy barrels, parts, and I'm not doing this shit, but I'm just saying as a recommendation because I'm just sitting tight with the metals. I don't really care, I'm just chilled out and stuff. But I know some people want to make a lot of money real quick. That probably is the way to do it, off the guns and stuff like that. But I don't like dealing in that too much because sometimes I don't know who the hell you would be selling it to, I never would want, I'm very much pro Second Amendment and pro gun, but, I would actually wonder why somebody would be buying something from me if I was selling some kind of barrel or ammunition, because I'd be thinking, why is this person buying it from me versus just going to a store, But if the price goes up high, you could probably undercut the prices in the store and still make a good margin of profit yourself. So that might be a good deal to do, in the next, 6 months to 1 year, because if some of this, I don't know if this stuff's going to get passed, and I don't want it to get passed, but if it does get passed, you're going to get a very good return on your investment. So that's another alternative physical investment out there that people should be looking at besides silver. But long range, silver's actually going to be, it's going to be like, this mountain in the background. It's going to have a peak, to go down, have another peak, and have another peak, and go up. I think in 2013, if we have this war with Iran, it's going to have an all-time height. But 2014 might be the year when it gets up over triple digits, and then 2017 might be the final height. That looks like that's 3 years after 2014. It seems like 23-year cycles. And then it also coincides with the overall long-range 20-year commodity cycles and stuff too. So, and look carefully at what Jim Rogers says and Mark Faber. They're in for the long haul. They're thinking the metals might rise around between 2015 and 2020 or 2018. So 2017 might be a good year, But in between that time, we're going to have some peaks. So actually, I'm going to try guessing some of this stuff. If the physicals goes up so much, I'll sell some of it, not all of it. I think even if, depends on what's around. Maybe I'll have a bunch of hemp or some garbage like that, or whatever the hell it is. There might be some other hard asset I can go into on 2017. And I'll probably have very, very little silver at that time if it gets up to astronomical heights and there's something else really solid I can go into. But just beware that, don't be faked out. Don't be discouraged. I know some people are selling out. Don't be discouraged. because it is going to play out just like the people have been telling you all along, and it's going to go up far more than you expect. I know you've been hearing it a million years, but hey, man, it's a slow growing material. What could I tell you?